What a large deck Nuke Drago says.
Well, when you get a lot of foils and you're playing a Yorion deck, that tends to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Legacy players have large hands. Doing the rock, paper, scissors thing again.
Yeah. David Lance, both a known enjoyer of Yorion Death in Texas and a known enjoyer of foils, so
Yep, for
unsurprising that we reached this outcome where his deck is towering over everyone else's.
Right. Oh. Couldn't tell who actually won that. David did. Yeah. Caracas Vile.
Yeah, I mean, Vile is very, very good in this matchup. As we saw last round, Robert only has 2 ways to deal with that in the main deck. He has 1 Brazen Barber and 1 Molten Collapse.
Yeah.
Molten Collapse is a card that is very, very good in this matchup. But and just kills any creature and also a Vile, which is really, really good here. So you can imagine. So now that David's resolved that Vile, chances of winning have gone up significantly. This is a deck that is kind of designed to prey on these tempo-y decks.
Right.
However, Rob does have the early aggression in the Goyf, which is exactly what he needs in order to stabilize against this start.
Right. But David has a lot of options, so yeah. And as we've seen the way David plays, he really thinks very much ahead of his play, so he might be already thinking of a way to, deal with this Goyf, or at least have an answer for it.
The problem is, the Goyf isn't really what you can afford to be afraid of. It's really the 2 mana plays that you have to be prepared for.
Right.
The Frog or the one of the 2, I believe it was, Murktides that Robert has access to. Much scarier than this Goyf.
Right. Yeah, you can afford to take some chip damage from the Goyf and need to have to deal with the other things going on. David might also have like a 1 mana, creature to put in off a Vile.
I think it's just Mother of Runes in his deck, which would certainly be quite good here. But
yes, it would. Yeah.
The Vile really starts going when it gets to 2 here.
Mm-hmm.
Just because David had access to 2 mana last turn doesn't really mean he would want to cast his 2 drops, because there's Daze has not been live at any point in this game, and David really doesn't want that to change.
For sure.
Gonna get that full value out of that that fetch land with the Surveil probably at some point this turn.
This Goyf he's big.
Yeah, should be up to 4 power at this point, if I can add correctly.
Dave's got something to do.
I think just the Surveil.
Yeah, Surveil land. As we've talked about all day, these Surveil lands, they're just amazing.
Yeah, certainly very impactful, especially in these decks that don't otherwise have good card filtering, right?
Right.
Like, Death Index is not traditionally a deck that's good at sculpting its draws, other than tutoring with Recruiter of the Guard, things like that. But being able to just scry and kind of cantrip in these non-blue decks is really, really important.
For sure. Yeah.
I think it's much larger than these innovations like Emperor of Bones or whatever, or just these this innocuous lands.
Doing it again.
Yeah. Just let us look closer and closer towards our towards the right answers that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Second Surveil's main phase is pretty interesting. I wonder if that means that we're looking to Thoughtseize here. We want some information first. Maybe we have like a pre-war Formalware or an Emperor that we're looking to deploy this turn. So we want 1 extra card. And
putting a Skyclave underneath. Oh my gosh.
That's one way to answer Goyf.
You're right. Wow. Now, granted, they're gonna get a 1/1 out of this, but that's fine.
Oh, it looks like you do that at end step.
Yes, so it stays till Rob's end step.
Right.
That's great. Every time I see this Emperor of Bones card get played, it seems really good, so, yeah. Definitely seems like one of the more interesting cards for Deaths and Taxes players out of.
Yeah, it's more as a consideration for Scam. I don't know if the deck will continue playing it after Scam inevitably declines for some reason.
Like there's a lot of utility there.
But
so,
yeah, it is a utility creature, but also it does require a full extra color in the deck, which is not an irrelevant price to pay.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Dave with the foil tokens.
Saw that token come into play earlier.
Yeah.
So he wants to. Gonna upkeep Vial so we can get it to 3.
Spirit of the Labyrinth, putting in the work against this this frog.
Does help keep it from becoming too threatening.
Right.
Which is good.
I don't think Rob is playing. No, there are no Bowmasters in the main, so
no Bowmasters anywhere to be found.
So his main way to get dealing with the Spirited Labyrinth looks like a Fatal Pusher or Molten Collapse.
Yeah. Looks like we're just gonna
Wasteland the Volk. Yeah. Oh yeah. Got to exile a card from. Exile relevant type too.
Yeah. Just bauble to decrease number of card types for Delirium as well as for the Netherglyphs that we see.
Right.
Attack for 1 without giving it flying. Oh yeah. Just block with a 4/4, and then you want to make him discard 3 cards. I think David's more than happy with that trade.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
Right, I think I saw Solitude in his hand as well. So on his next turn, he probably just pitch cast Solitude. You don't really want to run it into Daze, but you already got your value out of the Emperor of Bones. It's more than done his job. Making Rob discard 3 cards is a great.
Yeah, that's a perfect. Yeah, you're totally okay with that. Push up to 4.
Question is, do you let him get 1 hit in with this, or do you go for the Evoke Solitude?
Right. Or do you just wait
1 turn, get almost guaranteed? Yeah. So there's no blocks, and it looks like Rob discarded some red cards last turn, so I imagine he doesn't have another way to fetch Volcanic, or at least he didn't last turn. So that is something that David will note.
Right. David's trying to figure out what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think Rob is trying to figure out if he wants to discard any more to this frog. Doesn't get to draw the card because of that Spirit of the Labyrinth.
Right.
But Bobble does still work, so might as well deploy that.
Yep. You have to do that on the upkeep. Now we're up to 5.
Now, we do say that Days in hand that David has been carefully playing around this entire game. Now, the question is, when do you time his Solitude? I imagine it's
especially
sometime
since
during
there's
Robert's
a Stifle.
Right. Rob has 2 main deck Stifles, and it would be very good here. That's something that he's able to do. Looks like the Fatal Push.
Yeah.
Lets that go. Goes the combat.
Rob, do that with Sable? Nope.
He has the Stifle.
Stifles the Solitude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
But now, if this frog hit isn't lethal, I don't know how much we're attacking for right now.
Looks like there's.
I think there should be 4 with the option to discard 3 cards, so only 7. And now we can Yori on it next turn. And Rob hasn't had the blue land follow-up for a while. So it's unlikely that he is the Stifle the next turn, and then we can Yori on the Solitude, just get rid of it, make sure there's no funny business with counter magic.
Yeah.
No need to be super desperate here. Just be patient, take your damage here. You can even attack for 3 lifelink on your next turn.
Right.
And,
yeah, gain 3 life, you might as well.
right. Down to not... Now, looks like it took 4 off the attack.
Yeah.
And Rob still doesn't have the light out, so should be able to just attack for 3, get that Yorion in there, see if there's any more 2 or 3 drops that we want to commit to the board first, get a small amount more value. Be shocked if we didn't see that. Thoughtseize first. Reasonable.
I see a Daze, Ponder, Brainstorm. So.
Yeah, it looks like that Spirit was really holding Rob back there.
Mm-hmm. Taking one of the Brainstorms.
Yeah, it makes sense. It just
he doesn't really
limits the amount of known information. Then get it back, get rid of that frog.
Yep.
And now Rob can set up, but David's not really under any pressure here.
No.
And Daze is very dead.
For sure, yeah.
It's like he's going to ponder before brainstorming, not looking to brainstorm and then shuffle away, just looking for some threat that he can use. Alright, now he will brainstorm. Looks like David's going to Caracas his own Yorion in response to the brainstorm. Possibly, I'm not entirely sure what that's respecting. Maybe something like a Dismember,
yeah,
or like a Snuff Out plus Wasteland, something to that effect. Does make sense that he would want to have that back in hand.
Right. It gives the Solitude like pseudo vigilance.
Right.
And he can exile the token.
Yeah, just keep exiling cards turn after turn. Very, very hard to deal with. Just pass back, but we know he has access to that Yorion.
Right.
Maybe something else. I'm sure more than happy to take the one here.
Right. That was a Murktide. So there's a good reason to just hold it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine this will be a second main phase. You put in Yorion.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it in end step because you want the Solitude to return on that end step, so you can attack for 3 again.
Yeah.
Shocked to see it not come out here.
And this is where Death and Taxes kind of like is really, really well positioned in this matchup because you can just play the long game with these.
Yeah.
And again, we've had a lot of decks on camera today where the game favors the deck the longer you go, and obviously D&T is that deck.
Right. David has also cast, I believe, 2 spells this game.
Yes. Everything else has been vialed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe he has cast exactly Vial and Thoughtseize. Those are the only 2 spells David has cast the entire game. So Daze has been dead. Forcival's been basically dead since turn 1.
Right.
And it just like really limits the answers that this Delver deck is playing. Also, Fatal Push doesn't really line up very well into Solitude and Yorion, as well as it lines up into...
Woof. There was another Murktide in hand.
Yeah.
But there's another Caracas. That's great.
So
Rob just like, okay, I see it. I see what you're doing here. Yeah. So, David taking game 1 here. I think Rob is really not set up for this, really.
No, I mean, Fatal Push makes a lot of sense as opposed to Lightning Bolt in the sense that Lightning Bolt just never kills Psychic Frog.
Right.
And you need to be able to kill Psychic Frog with these decks. It is the premier threat in the current format.
Right.
You need to be playing a removal spell that deals with Frog and push the best at it. However, Push is not at its best against 5 mana 3/2s.
Right, exactly.
And it also doesn't push damage the same way. If we had a string of Lightning Bolts instead, this game could have been a completely different story. But with just Fatal Pushes, it's really hard to push that damage.
Yeah, and I mean, I think even the sideboard options are kind of rough, because...
I mean, Barrowglaive is definitely a good threat that David is going to need to respect. We also have Brazen Borrower, Maybe Consign as another sort of stifle effect.
D&T is just one of those decks that you don't really ever think about sideboarding for.
Yeah, most people are not respecting D&T in their sideboards because they really shouldn't be. It's not a very played deck. There's not that many people who play it. There's not many people who play it well.
Yeah. The delta between a Death and Taxes expert like David and an average D&D player is pretty large. I feel.
There's a reason that we haven't seen any other D&T players at the top tables today.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's not super surprising to see that.
Yeah, we have our folks like David here. We've got XJ Cloud, and we've got Luminal. Those kind of folks. Those are like you're very much your D&T masters who really grok and understand the intricacies of the deck.
Yeah, and I will admit at one point in a team event where I knew David was there, and I think I knew one or two more legacy players where I did put multiple copies of Kozilek's Return in my deck, and I did get paired against David Lands, and I did keep a hand that had 2 Kozilek's Command in my 80 card deck, and I did not come close to losing that game.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I would not recommend it.
Right. Now, David, on the other hand, I think we
have Rob's deck list open twice.
Yeah, that's easily enough to fix. There we go. All right. So David gets
3 Path to Exile.
Path to Exile seems pretty good.
That is the same sideboard plan he had last time we saw him on camera.
Yeah.
Is bringing 3 Path to Exiles for him. Probably Loran, Witch Enchanter, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Not that many artifacts or enchantments to kill. Maybe even Cauldra. It's pretty hard to get that one to stick with the amount of removal in the deck.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, well, we have the same start as we did last game, where we have the turn 1 Vial, but this time Robert's on the play, so he does get to stick that Netherglyph pretty early, so we'll see how much work that's able to put in for him.
Right. That looks like a Brainstorm. So it's at least a 2.
Yeah. Any Ponder or Bauble is another. No fetch land to make it the perfect Brainstorm, but let's see if we have second Glyph. No, just
a
little bit locked under Brainstorm here.
Interesting.
Just fearlessly jamming into days. But alright.
Fatal Push. Yeah.
Should still be a 2.
Yeah, no, it's still a 2.
Down to 15.
Frog.
Yeah, there's a threat that we really wanted last turn.
Right.
And no follow plan, which isn't exactly surprising given we brainstormed and didn't play a fetch. Not really show strength.
Yep. Definitely get rid of this frog as
soon as possible.
Right.
The way Robert's playing this, I wouldn't be shocked if you had a follow-up frog here.
Right.
Or just Ponder looking for more lands, which I assume is the focal point here. Anything to deal with that Bauble would also be very important.
Right.
We are ahead slightly right now, but not. You'd have to be pretty careful in face of a Vial.
Right.
So it's like just gonna take 4 here now. But 3 is really where this Vial starts going off, right? When you start being able to get Skyclave, Stone, Recruiter of the Guard, just
Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, that's really where this Vial starts shining, especially in this matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, getting that Surveil land that we talked about earlier. Just
yeah.
a little bit of card selection. Looks like he has the Recruiter in hand. So, just getting a Wastelands.
Putting in a Stone Fortress is great.
Yeah, I imagine he'll either get. I think Formor is a little bit safer in case this gets removed at any point. You can also go for the Doomblade.
It's like Phantom Blade.
Yeah, Phantom Blade, which is what he goes and gets.
Rob's like, oh, I gotta read this card.
Yeah. Phantom Blade plays a little bit more in the field push than Formal Wear. It's just, does he think that Rob has another removal spell? And he's decided he doesn't. So he's just going to get the 5-drop that, again, doesn't really have any intention of casting, but if Stoneforge survives, then it will be put into play. Yep. And it looks like we do have the push. Or maybe it's December?
That looks like a Dismemberer. I can't tell.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the Dismember art.
Yeah, it does.
Yep, there's a one of Dismember on the sideboard,
Yeah.
so I think that's what it is. It's Vial now up to the important number here.
Right.
Might be casting spells, though, because we do have some number of 2-drops in hand. Could also cast the Recruiter so that we can vial in the Skyclave that we find. That's something we're interested in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Appears to be the play. I imagine that's what we're getting. Could also be a Flicker Wisp, but
Flicker Wisp would let you block the Nethergoyf, and then
yeah.
But it's just gonna do it that way. Okay.
Yeah, just gonna get the Flicker Wisp, put extra bodies on board, then tutor out. Maybe now we tutor out. Yeah, now we tutor out this Skyclave.
Yeah.
After putting some blockers in front. This might be, again, one of those moments where it's the upkeep, activate Vial, put in the Skyclave, then take it up to 4 so we can get the 5 on the following turn.
Yeah.
And so doing it is really nice, especially on that turn, because we get to skip the dead turn of 4, because the deck doesn't actually... I don't think it has any 4-drops
I don't
currently.
think so. No.
At some points we've seen... We have one. We have the one Witch Enchanter. That
I don't think that's a card you are vialing in, though.
Yeah. Not super often. And
No.
if so, it's not entirely relevant. But yeah, Rob really needs like a Murktide this turn.
Mm-hmm.
And with Stifle Protection, maybe, in order to put up anything.
Molten Collapse.
That's pretty strong here.
Yeah. Whoa. That is certainly a thing.
Yeah. That is the best way to deal with that Vial. Ponder to follow up here.
Just good, clean, interactive magic happening.
Yeah, the
folks.
problem is our Nethergryph's about to die, and so unless Rob has the Forcible to follow up, like, something we don't have a board anymore, and even though we've gotten rid of the Vial, Robert isn't really applying any meaningful pressure.
No.
And we've seen David has the Solitude to deal with the...
Is there a way we can follow standings?
Not easily.
Not easily, no. No. We can definitely talk about top 8 once we get to at the end of Swiss rounds. We can kind of cover who's in the top 8, but yeah, there's not an easy public way to view the standings. Not a problem.
Right. So just gonna surveil here. We have this Skyclave. We'd love any extra removal, just insulate ourselves against an upcoming Frog or Murktide or anything of that nature. We could also be looking for land 5, but we've been to Wasteland earlier, so I imagine we're pretty set on lands for now.
Well, I mean, he was bidding Wastelands earlier because he had a Vial.
Yeah.
So,
but deck is quite good at using its mana. So see if we have the Force of Will for the known Skyclave.
nope.
And we don't.
Get in for one. But I think if he follows up with a Murktide and David doesn't have an answer for it, that's really problematic here.
Well, we know that there's a Solitude, and there's always that pitch card available, off sitting to the side, and that you can always buy. Sometimes it is just a 3-mana white card that you can put into your hand, which is still very, very strong.
This Dragon's Return, I think, is turned on. Should be.
Yeah, we have Artifact and Sorcery and Instant Land.
Yeah.
We might have Creature. I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. It's like just a Path to Exile. Really a blast from the past here. Don't get to see that one too often, but
no.
I think it's David's 3rd time casting it on camera today.
Right?
So. If I remember correctly. It is not quite as good as Sword Splashers, but
I mean,
it does its job quite well.
There's a lot of decks that play very little basics right now,
yeah,
and especially the Eldrazi.
It's great against Eldrazi. It's just, we're
giving...
already maxing out on Sword Plowshares. We just kind of need another cheap removal spell in the sideboard, and Path Exile is determined.
Well, in a lot of cases, like Eldrazi, maybe is on 1 basic, maybe 2.
I've often seen them on 0. I think
really?
almost.
I
every
think a
time
lot of them are starting to
0.
play at least 1 snow-covered wastes or 1 forest,
sure,
just so that they can cast Microspawn. But even that's pretty rare, and you're just looking. That's one of those things where I don't want to give the Eldrazi player 6 life.
Right.
Just get rid of it.
All right. Well, we have the Murktide region follow up from Rob.
Yeah.
But we also know David has the Solitude, so we'll see.
Yeah, Solitude plus he put Yorion in hand. So.
Yeah. And so we'll see. Yep, there's the Murktide.
David just kind of all right, I'll play with my hair.
Yeah. Don't have anything too good. Don't have the second Stifle or whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Another Stifle would be awesome.
Yeah, or Consign, or,
Oh,
I mean, we have access to up to 4 post-board if you want to add the Consigns.
Yeah.
Which is not unreasonable, I think, in this matchup. There's a lot of triggered abilities in this thing. Which is kind of a theme that we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
Some of the power of Consign.
Yeah, it's very flexible.
See if David wants... How David wants to approach his turn. There's a number of options here. In Hardcast Solitude, try to exile Murktide. We have Hardcast Yorion, try to flicker the creatures, recruit it for a second Solitude.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna...
We have the Stifle.
Brainstorm.
Oh, that's way better. Alright. So this, unless we draw 2 Forcibles, I think should be okay. Because even if this...
I don't see a force.
Even if this gets forced, we could follow up with Yorion to flicker the Recruiter, and then get the second Solitude.
Nope.
And that's pretty likely to.
Yep, so, that looks pretty good.
Looks like that just happens.
Yeah.
Get to get in for 3. See how much he wants to respect days here. Oh, just Thoughtseize.
I mean...
Alright. Brazen Borrower, Ponder.
I think the Borrower makes the most sense here.
Yep. It is. Just puts a lot of power in play at instant speed, which is kind of hard for David to deal with. Also, we know no Lightning Bolt in Robert's deck. Which
this is one of those
3
scenarios.
Life,
yeah. Oh, you're at 3?
Yeah, if we had the out of pondering for a Lightning Bolt, this game would be totally different.
Right.
But I think Texas does benefit from Frog existing in the sense that there's less Lightning Bolts flying around, more Fatal Pushes, and more random removal spells that only kill black creatures, which...
Right. Rob's trying to decide if he's bidding this card or not.
Yeah, just really needs follow-up threats, because we know about the fall of Yorion and the onboard Skyclave, so can't imagine that this DRC is going to get to live for much longer unless we disrupt the mana, because he didn't have the follow-up land last turn. Might not have it again this turn.
Whoa.
David, we go, and that's it.
No follow-up answer for that Dragon Rage channeler.
Yeah, just had too many threats that David couldn't quite deal with.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, and Timely Wasteland was able to get David off that pivotal fourth mana. But that crucial turn, I think, was when Robert had the answer for the vial the turn before David was about to put in his 3-drop, tick it up to 4, and just completely run away with the game. He had the answer on the exact perfect turn. He was able to really slow David down,
Right.
And just prevent everything from going completely haywire. However, David has had Vial turn 1 every single game,
Yeah.
and it's been very good for him. So we'll see if he can continue that in this game 3 here.
Yeah, that would be nice.
David's deck definitely does have more things to do on turn 1 than a lot of Death and Taxes decks in the past, right? 4 Vial, 4 Thoughtseize, and 4 Mother of Runes. So there's a number of turn 1 plays. Even Surveilling on turn 1 is completely fine.
Mm-hmm. David going back for 6.
Yeah, I mean, the deck generates a lot of value. It's not a huge deal if it happens. Let's see. Looks like Rob's content with his 7 here.
I see a Force, I think.
Yeah.
I see a Ponder.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fetch land and a ponder, so
Yeah.
it's almost always a keep. Though there is no basic island to get in Rob's deck,
No, that's true.
so if it's only the 1 land, it is a little bit sketchy against the Death and Taxes deck with 4 wastelands.
Right.
And if I see my double opponent ever go fetch for Underground Sea ponder,
Mm-hmm.
snapping off the wasteland turn 1,
Right.
like as soon as I possibly can.
Alright, looks like David is reasonably okay with it. I see a Solitude.
Yeah. And a turn 1 play off basic planes.
Oh, wait, we're...
Alright.
There we go.
Yeah, we got the turn 1 Vial. And you said Robert had the Force, so imagine what we're saying it here.
Right. Let's see if he wants to respect that or not, or if he's just gonna sit on it. Looks like Rob's gonna let it go.
Yeah. Maybe his Raisin Borrower or something of that nature. He's waiting to draw his Nuts 1 of Molten Collapse and just get the complete blowout like he had in the last game.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
The card really overshadowed by the release of Modern Horizons 3, but
Really,
I was
yeah, for
very
sure.
impressed by that card for quite a while in the Grixis list. I thought it was the main reason to be Grixis instead of something like the teamer list that were just flashing
Right.
Questing Druid.
So he's I did see Hedra Revoke there.
Okay.
Um,
But,
so
and we have the turn 1 threat.
looks like last game.
Yeah,
Almost
except
all
this
3
time,
games have been these exact same opening.
Yeah,
plays.
except person on the play is, especially with either Vial involved, is looking much better.
Looks like it's a 1.
Only 1 means Robert's pretty likely to have a follow-up threat, otherwise he'd cast most cantrips before dealing damage.
Right.
So, probably looking at a Frog follow-up here.
Yep.
Yeah. Just surveil towards answers to this board here.
Yeah.
Do need to enter the Frog. Another Glaive you can let go for a little bit. It's just attacking for small increments. Frog, if it connects once becomes the second Frog, and then you're really pulling away with it. So
Yeah.
dude would really like to see some way to deal with this Frog in some capacity here.
Right.
Whether it's Swords the Plowshares, a Solitude, potentially even a Skyclave to hardcast. Whatever it
David's
is.
okay with that being on top.
Yeah. Hardcast Recruiter. Right.
Interesting.
So, this can get Solitude, or you can get
Spirit of Labyrinth.
Spirit of the Labyrinth is... He's just going to go for Stoneforge Mystic, a little scenic approach.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's reasonable.
There's a number of things this can get. It can get Formal Wear to put back in the recruit again. That would be pretty nice.
Right. Well, yeah, because Rob can't make enough cards to, unless he exposes it to anything. But he can't make enough cards to give it flying.
Yeah, I mean, he could cantrip a couple times, put some cards, but looks like he's content to allow this chump block. And I think David is more than happy to do this. Just take the one.
It's like ponder.
Do you want to see the outcome of combat first before deciding on this?
Yeah.
I think it's like Sign, which he probably wants to counter this Stoneforge trigger. It's pretty good against the face-up. Just lets it go. Alright.
I mean, he could also consign the trigger for the Formal Wear.
Yeah, but you'd rather prevent it from going to hand than getting in play. Because it has some text in play.
Yeah. So yeah, Formal Wear.
It's going to get back to that recruiter, which can then put back in Skyclave. Yeah. You see
Rob's
Robert,
like, I gotta read this card.
Yeah.
This card's not on Magic Online, I gotta read it.
Yeah. It didn't come up in my Magic Online chess thing. I don't know what it does. It's okay.
Right.
It gets back recruiter and gets a recruit again. It's very, very good here.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
There's just so many resources and options David has access to here. You have to make the best of multiple tutors and vial activations and be man efficient while doing so. So we'll see what he comes up with. Just the passing of the turn.
Yeah, that seems fine.
No fourth land. But super reasonable. And
Brainstorm.
yeah. Really looking for... I think the only card that really matters at this point is Stifle.
Yeah.
Or some copy of a similar effect. Just being able to stop the Formal from getting back to Preacher, being able to stop the Skyclave from eating the frog. One of those two things, which I imagine is what's about to happen if everything is left unchecked.
Yeah. Wasteland.
Or there's also the option of getting Flicker Wisp off of the Formal Wear and
Activate in response to the Wasteland.
Flickering the Formal Wear, getting back more stuff. There's a lot of options.
Rob's, I gotta read this card again.
Oh, yeah.
Rob's trying to decide if he wants to do anything about that.
We'll let this go. Wait for what's coming. It really depends on if you think David has another answer to Frog in his hand. Because if you think he does, then you should just let this happen and then counter the triggered ability from the upcoming Skyclave.
Yeah.
Instead, so that he can't just Skyclave from hand in addition to the recruiter. But I think we would have seen him take slightly different lines if that was an option for him earlier.
Right.
So.
Yep. Get the Skyclave off the recruiter.
Yeah. Suddenly, this is a lot to overcome for Robert here.
The awkward tension of needing to keep cards in your graveyard for Nethergoyf versus wanting to exile stuff for Psychic Frog so I can connect.
It's a little bit awkward that both of your cards use the graveyard but in completely opposite manners. Or if there's a bunch of lands, you can always exile a pile of those.
Yeah.
Grixis deck's normally very good at putting lands in graveyards.
For sure. Looks like we shuffled that Ponder.
Yeah. Already played a land for turn. We know David doesn't have any more lands in hand at this point, which means he's working off of just spells. those being the face-up Skyclave. So. Yeah, so you just try to go to blocks. It's pretty free, and then before damage you can Skyclave it. That way, they never get the chance to draw the card, even if you Skyclave doesn't work out for whatever reason. We've seen Stifle already.
It's also the fun thing is that the pre-form aware gives this Recruiter of the Guard +1/+1 and Vigilance. Right. So he has to pitch cards to it, to the Psychic Frog, but then you could Skyclave after they've committed resources to it.
Yeah.
So that's intriguing.
Right.
So I think that's what David's trying to figure out if he wants to do, if he wants to commit.
Yeah. And the problem is, if you don't discard the card to the Frog, then suddenly he still has the Skyclave, and you're just down a Psychic Frog.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Also, just not a good exchange, so.
Right.
Imagine you have to discard here. Question of what?
Just discarding one thing.
Yeah.
It is just +1/+1, right? Pretty sure.
Check here.
Well, actually, it might be bigger.
+2/+2.
Oh, shoot. That Recruiter's a 3/3. So he's got to commit at least 2 cards to this Psychic Frog, which is better than just having to commit 1.
Right.
For David, at least. He was content to let it go, though.
Yeah, it looks like he's okay with them trading.
Oh.
And he does have the Flicker Wisp.
Flicker Wisp plus pre-war form aware is just absurd.
Yeah. And we know he has a Skyclave, so even if this gets stifled, then it doesn't matter because we can just remove the frog on the following turn.
Does he stifle the oh no. You would say you could also stifle the return trigger?
Yeah.
Unless he just doesn't have the stifle in hand.
I don't think he has it, yeah. He's just kind of grasping at air. Just cast a lot of cantrips, but they haven't really found what is needed this game, unfortunately.
Go get another Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's really hard to stop this Formaware loop,
right?
And now we can just start attacking with Flicker Wisps and such, and there's face-up Skyclave still, and we have the option of Flicker Wisp if things aren't flying. This is a problem for Rob. He has to navigate through all of this. He would really like to have a land here so he can cast spells and use Vial, and is not stuck on just one of the 2 resources. But
yeah, that would have been nice.
I have a Swords to Plowshares. Swords. Just we got second Vial here. Which one is it? Path Exile.
Path Exile. That seems reasonable.
Yeah. No. Only 3 cards left for Robert, and a whole handful for David.
Right.
Starts getting in there.
Start pushing through some damage.
Yeah.
And now he's got this,
6.
Where he can block the Nethergoyf with Recruiter of the Guard, and then flicker in Flicker Wisp, get back, Flicker pre-war form aware, get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things that pre-war form aware does. For
also, you can, in combat, Vial and Flicker Wisp, flicker form aware, and then block with your Flicker Wisp.
Yeah.
And so you get back your Flicker Wisp at end step, and then flicker your other Flicker Wisp, and then you have this whole chain going where you can never block, and it's
is that
just kind of a nightmare.
Is that a Fatal Push? What is that?
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But a second Vial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now at any point we can flicker the form aware, try to get back the Recruiter, maybe Robert now has a slate full. I think that's what he's hoping for.
Yeah, I think doing the trick you were talking about, doing the flicker.
Yeah.
Get block, get back your Flicker Wisp.
Yeah, it's
Oh, just blocking with. Oh, hey, that seems really good.
Yeah,
Flicker,
it's-
your. Yeah, there's a barrel going.
there's a Barragoyf, but I think he's down to 2 cards.
Yeah,
For
but
reader
so
here.
he can violin the next Flicker Wisp,
Right.
get back Stoneforge Mystic, get Phantom Blade,
Yep.
and then things work. Then we're cooking.
Yeah, I mean, this is not looking good if you're a fan of Robert here.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
Go
Yeah,
over here instead.
get back.
Stoneforge.
Yeah, get back Stoneforge. Probably go get Phantom Blade. That seems like a really strong
Yeah.
card here.
If Calder's in the deck, you can consider that. If it's not in the deck, then
I think
Phantom
Phantom Blade's a great one here because it lets you. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm following David's train of thought here. Is that
Yeah.
getting rid of the threats, especially this Barragoyf,
Right.
is really, really, really necessary.
Yeah, we also do still have the Skyclave to deal with it if needed, but
And Rob has mana up. He's
only
gonna-
one swamp and 1 card in hand, so he's not really only representing push, which isn't that relevant. Oh, we're gonna
Dismember. Oh wow.
just remember get rid of
Oof.
Stone.
That's rough though.
Yeah,
That,
and now
that life loss is rough.
now he's down to no cards at hand, facing across a lot of power, 6 of it in the air, and we know that this. Yeah.
We're gonna push up to.
Yep.
Gotta
Skyclave
get
comes
rid of
through.
the Barragoyf for sure.
Right. Now Vile goes up to 4, inching our way towards this game-ending Yorion.
Yeah, he's got to get another land in play to be able to put it in his hand, though.
Yeah, but even if we don't, we're attacking for 6 this turn and 6 next turn.
Yeah,
Robert has no cards in hand
Yeah.
and no flying.
that's extremely lethal, and he's got a Solitude in hand.
Yeah.
So only
Right.
attacking for 3.
Just 3 here.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's pretty reasonable play right there. Putting in the spirit. If he drew any sort of like cantrips or anything like that, Rob's.
Yeah, it just severely limits Rob's draws here, and it's very hard to dig your way out of this.
I expect
I'm
that he
struggling to figure out what the out is here.
Oh, bobble.
Well, almost fine, but it's not really doing it here.
No.
And
I think if David has any amount of anything here, it's
I think even if David doesn't have anything here, he's still winning.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets to attack for 6.
Yeah, 6 at the minimum.
Right. Well, and okay, so we're gonna try and come in with the Nethergoyf. I think David just takes this, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine not taking it. Oh,
Barragoyf. Okay.
there was a hidden card?
Oh, Barragoyf can be escaped.
No, Necrogoyf can be escaped.
Oh, no,
Barragoyf cannot.
oh, not Necrogoyf. Yeah, Barragoyf. So, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, Necrogoyf. Yeah, or Nethergoyf.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. No.
I think I think that's what David was pointing out. He's like, you can't escape that one. That's only the small one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's what Rob was banking on.
Yeah, I think
But,
there was some confusion there. Let's see what Rob draws.
Hard to imagine anything that's good enough to compete with.
Well, I
David's
mean,
going
he most certainly has lethal on board if Rob doesn't have anything, because there's
Right.
9 right there. With the spirit,
Yeah.
he could attack with Spirit of Lab, but
Right.
he's playing conservatively, like very conservatively. Rob's at 2.
No reason to give him more outs.
It's the creature, but it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, there's 1 flying blocker. You don't have any attack. You don't have any good attackers.
Yeah, Solitude.
Just put in Solitude, sure. All game actions win.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we are.
All right.